Interesting marijuana ruling today. People can still be fired for using pot in Colorado, even though it's legal in that state, both medicinally and recreationally. Colorado Supreme Court ruling that a medical marijuana patient who was fired after failing a drug test cannot get his job back. The case involved 35-year-old Brandon Coates. He's a quadriplegic medical marijuana user after a car wreck. He was fired from his job at the Dish Network after failing a drug test back in 2010. Now, Coates says he needed the drug, needed marijuana to help with violent spasms and seizures. The case has big implications for employers and pot smokers in states that have legalized medical or recreational marijuana. And of course, our state has legalized medicinal marijuana. As you see, CBS Local 2 legal analyst David Greenberg back with us tonight with more on this. Counselor, good to have you with us. What do you make of this? Is this a blow for backers of marijuana, certainly in a state that even has recreational marijuana legal?
Yeah, I suppose it is. You know, the legal piece of the ruling in Colorado is really actually unremarkable. They lost in the trial court, they lost in the appellate court, they lost 6-0 in the Supreme Court. The Colorado law for marijuana use specifically states that employers do not have to accommodate for this type of use. And the lower courts and the Supreme Court ruled that marijuana use falls under the federal and state rules of not legal outside activities. So it wasn't a surprise, this Colorado ruling.
So the fact that marijuana usage, both medicinally and recreationally, is still illegal on the federal level, that played a big role here, you're saying, right?
It did, because they defined outside activities that had to follow lawful rules as being, had to follow the state and federal rules. And since it's still illegal federally, that had a big part of the Supreme Court ruling in Colorado.
And it seems to me a big win for employers, because the Supreme Court in Colorado basically said that we can test you randomly. Now, could this happen in our state, California?
It can't. It is a big win for employers in Colorado, but California is one of the few states that has a right to privacy built right into its California Constitution. So there is no random drug testing in the state of California. That's been ruled in case after case illegal, unconstitutional, not allowed. So something like what happened to Mr. Coates could simply never happen in the state of California.
And I also find it interesting. I mean, this fella, he was a quadriplegic as a result of a car wreck. He was not in a job. He was not working, say, in a nuclear facility. I mean, he was basically making phone calls, trying to get people to sign up for satellite TV. But still, the ruling was you cannot be smoking marijuana and do that type of job.
The sympathy, the empathy, what seems fair and reasonable to many of us did not carry the day in Colorado, but that's because their laws were specifically written to ensure that employers had the right to have drug-free workplaces.
Yeah, so it seems to me that you look at Colorado, one of just a few states, Washington State another, that has even passed recreational marijuana use, but there are still some major hurdles, it seems to me, for people to get over in this, right?
There are. And again, it depends upon the state rules and the state laws. Like I said, Colorado had that right in their law. I'm not sure about the Washington law, but Colorado specifically said employers do not have to accommodate for medical or recreational marijuana use in job opportunities. Again, different in California, because there's no such thing as random drug testing allowed in the state of California.
Very quickly to wrap it up, I happen to be a believer, I'm not saying I advocate it, but I'm a believer that recreational marijuana use will one day be legal federally. Would you agree with that, disagree, or not want to comment?
No, I think that it will someday. I don't know exactly when. My prediction is that it will be legal in the state of California in 2016 at the presidential election, but we'll see how that goes.
All right, David Greenberg, our CBS Local 2 legal analyst. As always, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Chris.
Coming up is